So after the Bebo days, it was time for me to leave this small, deserted town and go to the US and put my name amongst the greatest in the wrestling industry. Sure enough, I managed to place myself in the WWE. And whilst I never won any world championships, there are two matches I'll never forget in my short time there.
Making his way to the ring from parts unknown, weighing in at 323 pounds,
So this was an opportunity for myself, not only myself but also Crusher Clive, or Clive 2 Dope as he was known back then. We were only given first and second place in this match. We were given the short straw, but seeing that we were quite new to this industry and we only really got our name on the maps due to the crazy fights we had back at UBW, it was no surprise to know that I was, coming out first and second, but to fight in the same ring with Edge, with Kane, the Boogeyman, and Rey Mysterio, it was an honor. And still, looking back, it's probably one of my favorite fights that I've had. Maybe not the greatest, but just because of the talent in the ring, it was definitely the most memorable. But the two fights that we're looking back at in WWE are two of the fights that I will always take with me, and they'll always be in my top 10. I mean, when I was, only a year before this in UBW, dreaming of maybe possibly meeting Rey Mysterio, not possibly thinking of trying to beat Rey Mysterio in a fight. So how much things can change, how quickly things can change is very surprising in this industry. And the last man of the four in the WWE was obviously the Boogeyman coming out, and even the Boogeyman, it was just a privilege to share the ring with so many greats. And you'll see in my second match I shared the ring with one of the greatest in the industry that I will always consider at least the greatest in the industry. No longer at the WWE, but we'll get to that. Firstly, Elimination Chamber, Boogeyman, Rey Mysterio, Kane, the Rated R Superstar Edge, myself, and of course Crusher Clive. So this was my debut, my first match in the WWE. I managed to get myself in this chamber, as well as Clive. It was a very, very good deal that we had with Vince. And although it was short-lived, like I said, my time in WWE, it was still an experience for sure. And to be honest, it was crazy to be in the ring with Clive at WWE. As you can see, the man's grown a bit. We're looking at, Crusher Clive that we know now. But like I said, it was me and Clive in the ring at first. The famous Skull Crushers there dealt straight to Clive. And this was probably the most exciting part of the match, because I just didn't know who I was going to be facing, who's coming out third, what WWE legend will I actually manage to get my hands on here. And sure enough, Rey Mysterio came out. And then, just like any other chamber, it sort of just unleashed from there. The carnage just kept on going, as you can see, hitting Rey with a couple suplexes there, throwing him all over the ring, which was an incredible experience. Like I said, one that I will definitely take to the grave. And it was, pretty much one of those chamber matches after then where you just wanted to try and be the last man standing. And Clive throwing me to the outside onto the steel. This was, before the PG era of WWE. It hurt a lot more wrestling back in these days. And then I managed to put Edge in the start-up, and I was hoping that he was going to tap, but I don't think I quite had the lock strong enough to get rid of the Rated R Superstar, the start-up submission. One that I've taken with me a long time, but couldn't quite get the grasp and, the reach that I wanted around Edge's face, shall we say. And Kane coming out last, sixth man, and a couple more headbutts for good measure there by myself. And then I had Kane, the big red monster, on me, and things just became insane. As you can see there, spear. And as that happened, Rey Mysterio eliminated by Edge, so it was myself, Edge, and Clive still in this as Clive kicks out just at the last second. And I felt like going over the top. I felt like getting my name out there. Like I've said on commentary a few times at SCW, You have to make an impact in your first fight, and I wanted to try and cause as much impact, waiting for the right moment here while Edge is doing a submission. I went for the dive, but unfortunately actually hurt myself, I would say, more than anyone else. I think I got Clive a little, but Edge queuing up for his own spear now on Clive, but Clive managing to reverse that one, and it became quite a crazy match. Another spear, and I feel like Clive must hate spears as me and Edge both repping the spear moves there. And this was it for me. I managed to eliminate Clive. We've had such a feud, me and Clive, back in the day, and I managed to be out on top. And I could hear the crowd going crazy, doing homage here to one of my favourite wrestlers in the business. I wanted to fight Lesnar, dropping the F5, going for the pin, and sure enough, I was the brand new WWE Intercontinental Champion.
And the new WWE Intercontinental Champion, the Psycho Smokey.
At that moment in time, I felt on top of the world. I honestly felt like no one was ever going to be taking this from me. This was mine to keep, and mine to keep forever. However, the WWE didn't work that way. And come Judgment Day, I was faced with a big, big demon, being none other than the one and only Chris Jericho, an intercontinental legend, people will say. And this was also a submission match, so I could see myself definitely the underdog here. However, Skull had confidence, always had confidence, so I came out feeling the energy of the crowd, repping the Red Skull movement, holding on to that Intercontinental Championship. You can see it around my waist, and I was not letting go of it anytime soon. I knew that this was my moment. If I could beat Jericho in a submission match and keep the Intercontinental Championship, then no one can put disrespect on my name. Everyone will remember me in WWE. I will put my name as one of the greats to beat Jericho in a submission match, and I knew this was going to happen. I felt it. I've never felt more positive in my entire life. However, we have to address the elephant in the room. Chris Jericho, submission match. I knew this was going to be hard. We had to pull out all the stops to try and come out on top of Jericho. Jericho is an insane machine, and I respect him. I've always respected Jericho. So as well as I was focused and as well as I wanted to win, I was also just so buzzed to share the ring with such a GOAT. However, I saw Michael Cole, I saw Taz, and I said, watch this. Remember my name. I put Jericho on the table. I went to the top rope and nearly killed myself. And I honestly thought I killed Jericho in the process. I looked at the commentators, say my fucking name is what I said to them. Shout it. Walked back in that ring, and I've never felt more alive. At that moment, I really thought that was mine. This Intercontinental Championship is going home. I run this brand. I run this entire federation now. Everyone will remember Skull. But the only thing I did forget is I was fighting Chris Jericho. This man doesn't give up easy. Got up pretty quickly after being thrown through the announce table, and we were back in the ring. Anything could happen now. Submissions only, remember. But I knew that I was in trouble. Jericho putting me onto the mat. Sure enough, finding my feet, and I was in trouble. The walls of Jericho were in place, and I knew it was time for me to tap. It was time for me to go home. There was nothing I could do. Nothing. Even though I tried, I didn't want it to happen. It happened. And after not being given a match for a few months, I gave up. And it was time for me to create the future.